9 latest archaeological discoveries that left scientists speechless. An ancient tomb was opened for the first time in more than 1,000 years, leaving archaeologists stunned by the strange grave goods hidden inside. A skeleton that appeared to be nothing more than lifeless bones turned out to reveal the story of a civilization that disappeared thousands of years ago. An ancient boat lay undisturbed beneath the sand for 4,000 years. A loaf of bread remained almost perfectly preserved for more than 1,300 years, and a beautifully carved wooden hand dating back to the Neolithic period. Every one of these discoveries is real, yet the strangest part is that the more archaeologists excavate, the more scientists realize that history is far more complex than we once believed. Every new discovery is like opening another door into the past, but behind each door lies countless mysteries that still have no complete explanation. Hello everyone! Welcome back to Ancient History, the channel where we explore the most fascinating secrets of the ancient world, from legendary civilizations to archaeological discoveries that are shaking the scientific community today. In today's video, we'll explore 9 latest archaeological discoveries that left scientists speechless. Each discovery tells a completely different story. Some reveal mysterious burial rituals. Others have preserved artifacts that seemed impossible to survive for thousands of years. Some tombs help researchers better understand the identities of those who were laid to rest, while other discoveries raise even more questions about human history. What makes these discoveries even more fascinating is that most of these secrets were uncovered purely by chance during recent archaeological excavations, as if the past itself had finally decided to speak after thousands of years of silence. So, what secrets have left archaeologists around the world astonished? What lies hidden behind each artifact, every ancient tomb, and every set of human remains that has only recently come to light? Join me as we begin this incredible journey of discovery. By the end of this video, you may realize that the history of humanity still holds countless mysteries that modern science is working tirelessly to unravel. Now, without making you wait any longer, let's get started. The world's last cursed hand, the artifact. European thieves hunted for centuries. Can you believe that, with nothing more than a shriveled human hand, thieves of the past believed they could slip through the darkness, unlock any door, and even keep an entire household asleep forever? It sounds like something straight out of a horror movie, doesn't it? But astonishingly, that artifact still exists today, and anyone can see it with their own eyes in England. You see, this isn't just another strange archaeological relic. It is the embodiment of one of the most chilling legends that haunted Europe for centuries. What's even more remarkable is that the artifact wasn't discovered inside an ancient tomb or buried underground. Instead, it was found by local historian Joseph Ford, hidden inside the wall of a thatched cottage in the village of Castleton, North Yorkshire, England. After its discovery, the artifact was donated to the Whitby Museum in 1935, where it has remained preserved and on public display ever since. In fact, many researchers believe this may be the very last surviving hand of glory in the world. But what could have turned a dried-up human hand into a treasure that thieves were willing to risk everything to possess? According to experts, medieval legends passed down across Europe claim that the hand once belonged to a criminal who had been sentenced to death by hanging. After his execution, his left hand was severed through a series of bizarre rituals to create a magical charm known as the Hand of Glory. At a time when superstition and magic still dominated Europe, thieves believed that simply carrying the Hand of Glory would allow them to see clearly in complete darkness, become invisible to others, unlock any lock no matter how sophisticated, and even leave everyone inside a house completely paralyzed, unable to move or cry out for help. The legends didn't stop there. People also believed that the 5 fingers of the Hand of Glory would burn like 5 eerie candles. If all 5 fingers were lit, it meant everyone inside the house was fast asleep, allowing thieves to carry out their burglary without encountering any resistance. However, if one finger failed to light, it meant something entirely different. It signaled that someone inside the house was still awake, or that there were fewer people inside than the number of fingers on the hand. One legend even claimed that if the thumb refused to burn at all, it was a warning that someone in the house was immune to the hand's supernatural power and capable of fighting back. To thieves of the era, these signs served as a kind of roadmap that could determine whether a burglary would succeed or fail. Even more disturbing was the way the Hand of Glory was supposedly created. According to legend, it had to be the left hand of a convicted criminal executed by hanging, The hand could only be removed on the night of a waning moon while the body was still hanging from the gallows. It was then preserved in salt and subjected to a series of mysterious occult rituals believed to grant it terrifying supernatural powers. Yet people of the past also believed that no form of magic was invincible. To neutralize the Hand of Glory's power, a homeowner had to prepare a special protective charm by coating the doors and windows with a mixture made from the gall of a black cat, the fat of a white hen, and the blood of an owl, applied on the hottest day of the summer. Although these stories are now regarded as little more than folklore, they reveal the deep fears and powerful beliefs people once held about the supernatural world. Interestingly, the very name Hand of Glory is believed to derive from the Old French phrase main de gloire or mandragore, which is connected to the mandrake plant, a legendary herb said to grow beneath the gallows where condemned criminals were hanged. Today, if you ever visit the Whitby Museum in North Yorkshire, England, you can still see this famous shriveled hand for yourself. I think that when standing before this remarkable artifact, many people can't help but wonder, is it nothing more than a superstition that has been embellished over the centuries, or does that small, withered hand still conceal a secret that history has never been able to fully explain? Perhaps that is exactly why the Hand of Glory continues to be regarded as one of the most mysterious and terrifying artifacts ever preserved in museums around the world. The ancient well filled with Roman soldiers' skeletons that shocked the world after nearly 1,800 years of being forgotten. Just imagine this. One day, while preparing the site for an ordinary construction project, you accidentally uncover an ancient well that has been forgotten for nearly 2,000 years. As you look down into the bottom of the well, you see the bodies of 7 men piled on top of one another, each frozen in a haunting position, as though silently telling the story of a horrific tragedy. How would you feel at that moment? Personally, I get chills just thinking about it. I can't even imagine seeing it with my own eyes. And that was exactly how archaeologists felt back in 2011. That year, archaeologists conducted a rescue excavation before the construction of a new university in the city of Osijek, eastern Croatia. In Roman times, the site was the town of Mursa, a strategically important military stronghold of the Roman Empire located near the imperial frontier. During the excavation, the research team uncovered an ancient well that had remained undisturbed for nearly 1,800 years. At first, everyone assumed the bottom of the well would contain nothing more than dirt, rocks, or perhaps a few fragments of ancient pottery. But the deeper they dug, the more they realized they were standing before a discovery that could illuminate a bloody and tragic chapter of history. Buried beneath layers of soil and mud were the remarkably well-preserved skeletal remains of 7 adult men. What immediately caught the experts' attention was the different positions of the skeletons. Some were lying on their sides, others were curled up, and one skeleton was even found upside down with its head pointing toward the bottom of the well, clearly indicating that none of them had received a proper burial. The well had seemingly become an improvised mass grave, where these unfortunate men were thrown after their deaths. According to Mario Novak, a bioarchaeologist at the Institute for Anthropological Research in Zagreb and the study's lead author, it is highly likely that all of the victims were stripped of every valuable possession before their bodies were dumped into the well. Their weapons, armor, jewelry, and anything else of value had disappeared, as if someone had deliberately erased both their identities and their social status. Anthropological analyses later revealed that all 7 individuals were adult males, including 4 young men and 3 middle-aged men. Several of the skeletons still bore evidence of their final battle. One man had suffered severe blunt force trauma to the forehead, another had broken ribs, while others displayed injuries caused by sharp-edged weapons. In addition, scientists discovered evidence suggesting that some of the men may have suffered from respiratory infections shortly before their deaths, reflecting the extremely harsh living conditions endured by soldiers during that period. To establish a more precise date, researchers performed radiocarbon dating on 4 of the skeletons. The results showed that they had all lived during the second half of the 3rd century AD. Interestingly, this dating matched perfectly with the only artifact recovered from the bottom of the well, a Roman coin minted in AD 251. That small coin became the crucial piece of evidence that allowed archaeologists to connect the entire story. Based on the well's location, the dating of the skeletons, and surviving historical records, Experts believe these 7 men were most likely Roman soldiers who fought in the Battle of Mursa in AD 260. The battle was part of a brutal civil war between Emperor Gallienus and the general Ingenuus, who rebelled in an attempt to seize the imperial throne but was ultimately defeated. According to historical accounts, Gallienus dealt with his enemies with extraordinary brutality after his victory. As a result, researchers believe the 7 men at the bottom of the well were likely soldiers or supporters of Ingenuus, who were stripped of all their possessions before being thrown into the well to conceal the aftermath of the conflict. Today, nearly 2,000 years later, that ancient well continues to guard the secrets of men who once fought for what they believed in. Had the 2011 excavation in Osijek never taken place, their fate might have remained buried beneath the earth forever. Thanks to this extraordinary discovery, we now possess another invaluable piece of the historical puzzle, helping us better understand the brutal reality of civil wars within the Roman Empire, where even loyal soldiers could be forgotten by history after a single battle. The 6,000-year-old wooden hand discovered in Russia, a mysterious artifact once used in an ancient ritual. If you came across a finely crafted wooden hand, almost the same size as a real human hand and carved with remarkable attention to detail, who do you think it once belonged to? Was it a work of art, an ordinary everyday object, or perhaps part of a spiritual ritual that disappeared from history thousands of years ago? It's hard to say, isn't it? So let's travel to Russia to uncover the answers to these fascinating questions. There, archaeologists discovered a mysterious wooden hand after it had rested beneath layers of cold peat bogs for more than 6,000 years, bringing with it a host of questions that scientists still have not been able to answer definitively. This extraordinary discovery takes us to the ancient settlement of Certea II, located in the marshlands of northwestern Russia. It was here, during an archaeological excavation, that experts from the Hermitage Museum unexpectedly uncovered a truly remarkable wooden artifact. Although the published research does not specify the exact year of the discovery, it was this excavation at Certea II that finally brought this rare object to light after thousands of years buried beneath thick layers of peat. Thanks to the peat bog's nearly perfect preservation conditions, the wooden artifact, something that would normally decay over time, has survived to the present day, providing archaeologists with an extraordinary window into the lives of prehistoric people. To understand why this object has remained so well preserved, we need to look back at what Certea II was like around 6,000 years ago. As the climate became colder and drier, broadleaf forests gradually disappeared, water sources continued to shrink, and much of the land transformed into vast wetlands. These dramatic environmental changes made food increasingly scarce. To survive, the local people completely adapted their way of life, building stilt houses over the soft peat along the edges of the marshes. Ironically, it was this same layer of peat that became a natural archive, preserving countless organic artifacts that would have almost certainly decomposed elsewhere after thousands of years. Among these remarkable discoveries, the most impressive is this wooden hand, dating from the late 5th millennium BC to the 4th millennium BC during the Neolithic period. Its age alone, approximately 6,000 years old, is enough to make it an extraordinary artifact. However, what amazed archaeologists even more was the craftsmanship displayed by its ancient maker. The hand was carved to nearly the same size as that of an adult human. Upon close examination, experts realized that the artisan had devoted tremendous effort to perfecting every detail. The palm was carefully smoothed and polished, giving it an exceptionally refined appearance. Meanwhile, the back of the hand was decorated with a 7-pointed rosette, a motif that many researchers believe may have symbolized the sun, a star, or perhaps another sacred symbol important to prehistoric communities. The craftsmanship did not stop there. The edges of the artifact were also decorated with deeply carved lines, demonstrating that this was not a hastily made object, but the work of an exceptionally skilled artisan. Yet the more archaeologists studied the artifact, the more mysterious it became. Several fingers and portions of the edges had been damaged in ancient times. More importantly, a crack at the wrist revealed a particularly intriguing clue. According to experts, this wooden hand was not originally a standalone object. Instead, it had once been attached to something much larger. It may have been part of a small statue, a ceremonial staff, or even a ritual mask used during religious ceremonies. Of course, these ideas remain hypotheses, But if they prove to be correct, the significance of this artifact extends far beyond its remarkable craftsmanship. It could offer entirely new insights into the spiritual beliefs, artistic traditions, and religious practices of Neolithic societies. To this day, no one can say with certainty what purpose this wooden hand originally served. One thing, however, is beyond question. The discovery at Certea too demonstrates that our ancestors, thousands of years ago, were not merely surviving in a harsh environment. They also possessed sophisticated artistic abilities, remarkable creativity, and a far richer spiritual life than we once imagined. And who knows, hidden beneath Russia's ancient peat bogs, there may still be other mysterious artifacts waiting to be discovered. Artifacts that could continue telling the unfinished story of a civilization that disappeared 6 millennia ago. What do you think? Do you agree with this possibility, or do you have a different theory? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts and discuss them with you. 200 eerie, 1,400-year-old graves discovered beneath a construction site in England left everyone with chills. Do you believe that sometimes an ordinary construction project can unexpectedly open a doorway to a past that vanished more than 1,000 years ago? It may sound impossible, but believe it or not, with just the first few scoops of an excavator, construction workers in England had no idea they were standing above an enormous ancient cemetery. What shocked everyone wasn't just the sheer number of graves that were uncovered, it was the eerie scene inside them. Many of the graves contained no skeletal remains at all. Instead, all that remained were dark human-shaped impressions preserved in the soil, creating such a haunting sight that even seasoned archaeologists were left astonished. The story began when a new residential development was underway in Alton, near the town of Lowestoft in Suffolk, England. While preparing the site, construction workers unexpectedly uncovered numerous ancient burial features. Archaeologists were immediately called in to carry out an emergency excavation. What they discovered left everyone amazed. The team uncovered approximately 200 graves dating back to the 7th century AD, belonging to a 1,400-year-old Anglo-Saxon cemetery. The discovery quickly attracted widespread attention within the archaeological community because of both the cemetery's remarkable size and its exceptional state of preservation. Initial studies revealed that the people buried there included men, women, and children. They were most likely members of the same farming community that once lived in the area. This suggests that the cemetery was not reserved exclusively for nobles or warriors, but instead provides a remarkably complete picture of everyday life in an Anglo-Saxon village more than 1,000 years ago. However, the greatest surprise awaited archaeologists inside the graves themselves. Because the soil is highly acidic, most of the human remains had almost completely decomposed over time. Many skeletons had disappeared without a trace. Yet remarkably, the places where the bodies had once rested remained preserved as dark stains in the soil, known as sand silhouettes. Viewed from above, these dark human-shaped outlines looked like shadowy figures lying motionless beneath the earth, creating a scene that was both mysterious and deeply unsettling. These extraordinary traces allowed archaeologists to determine the exact position and burial posture of each individual, even though the bones themselves had almost entirely vanished. The discoveries did not end there. The human-shaped impressions also revealed another fascinating detail. Traces of wooden coffins had likewise been preserved beneath the ground, showing that some individuals had been buried inside coffins rather than placed directly into the earth. This provided researchers with valuable new insights into Anglo-Saxon burial customs during the 7th century. Alongside the graves, archaeologists also uncovered numerous historically significant artifacts. These included amber beads, glass beads, silver coins, wrist clasps, copper alloy brooches, and small iron knives. Even more remarkably, several graves still contained grave goods such as pottery vessels, swords, iron spearheads, and at least one shield. These artifacts not only demonstrate the craftsmanship of the Anglo-Saxons, but also help researchers better understand the social status, daily lives, and beliefs of the people buried there. Another particularly interesting detail is that the cemetery at Alton lies only about 40 miles from Sutton Hoo, the world-famous Anglo-Saxon royal burial site. As many of you may know, Sutton Hoo has long been celebrated for its lavish burials filled with jewelry, priceless treasures, and most famously, its spectacular buried ship. Because of the relatively short distance between the two sites, Researchers hope that comparing them will provide valuable insights into the differences between ordinary villagers and the Anglo-Saxon elite. As soon as archaeologists recognized the extraordinary significance of the discovery, the entire site was secured for extensive excavation, documentation, and detailed scientific study. Every grave and every artifact was carefully recorded and preserved in order to protect as much information as possible from the passage of time. In the future, the artifacts recovered from this cemetery will be conserved and displayed in local museums, giving the public an opportunity to learn more about a community that disappeared from history nearly 14 centuries ago. Without question, the discovery at Alton proves that beneath today's roads, fields, and modern neighborhoods, countless secrets of the past still lie waiting to be uncovered. Sometimes, removing just a thin layer of earth is enough to bring an entire ancient community back into history, allowing its people to tell their story once again after nearly 1,400 years of silence. It's truly almost unbelievable, isn't it? 7,000-year-old skeleton discovered wearing a garment decorated with 158 shells and red deer teeth. My dear friends, did you know that around 7,000 years ago, when there were no modern machines, no metal tools, and no clothing workshops like those we have today, what kind of clothing did people wear when they were being sent off on their final journey? Were they simply dressed in rough animal skins, or had they already learned how to create sophisticated garments with special meanings? That is truly a difficult question, isn't it? But archaeology is fascinating. There are mysteries that seem impossible to answer, yet discoveries can sometimes reveal the truth in the most unexpected ways. A remarkable archaeological discovery in France is clear evidence of this. The story began during an archaeological excavation in the city of Avignon, southern France, where experts from Bordeaux-Montaigne University unexpectedly discovered an ancient burial site dating back approximately 7,000 years. Although the scientific report did not specify the exact year of the discovery, the moment the grave was uncovered, it immediately attracted special attention from archaeologists because of its rare level of preservation and the secrets hidden within. And indeed, when the grave was opened, researchers discovered the remains of an adult man. Through analysis of the bones, they estimated that he had died between the ages of 20 and 50 and had a height of approximately 5 feet 6 inches. However, what amazed experts was not only the skeleton itself, but also the remaining traces of the clothing the man wore during his burial ceremony 7 millennia ago. Because most organic materials had decomposed over time, determining the original appearance of the garment seemed almost impossible. However, thanks to advances in modern archaeological technology, the research team used 3D laser scanning techniques along with various advanced analytical methods to reconstruct the design of this ancient outfit. The results left everyone amazed. Experts discovered that the man's clothing was far more sophisticated than previously imagined. It had been carefully decorated with 158 red Columbella rustica shells combined with 16 red deer canine teeth. Each shell and each tooth had been deliberately arranged, forming intricate decorative patterns across the garment. This reveals that people living 7,000 years ago were not only capable of creating clothing, but also possessed remarkable craftsmanship and an extraordinary sense of aesthetics. Archaeologists believe that the use of such a large number of shells and red deer teeth was not simply for decoration. In many prehistoric cultures, rare natural materials like these often carried symbolic meanings related to social status, beliefs, or spiritual ceremonies. Because of this, the man buried in this grave may have held a special position within his community. Although there is currently not enough evidence to determine exactly who he was, one thing is certain: this extraordinary garment was not something that just anyone in that society could have possessed. Nevertheless, time has left behind many unanswered questions that science has not yet been able to solve. Most of the man's body is no longer intact. His skull, much of both legs, and both hands disappeared after thousands of years beneath the ground. This has allowed researchers to reconstruct only part of the appearance of the deceased. Yet even what remains has been enough to open a new window into our understanding of life, burial customs, and the craftsmanship of people during the Neolithic period. Therefore, saying that the discovery at Avignon is not merely the discovery of an ancient grave would not be an exaggeration. It also proves that thousands of years ago, humans already knew how to express respect, beliefs, and cultural identity through even the smallest details of the clothing placed on their dead. And that, my friends, is truly an extraordinary discovery. 5 completely preserved loaves of bread, after 1,300 years, revealing the faith of an ancient city. Imagine this. Is there any type of food in the world that could survive for more than 1,300 years while still maintaining an almost completely recognizable shape? Many people would probably say that such a thing is impossible, especially when it comes to bread, right? Because we all know that an ordinary loaf of bread only takes a few days to become dry and hard, and after several weeks it would completely decay. So how could it possibly survive for more than 1,000 years? But believe it or not, something that seems impossible actually happened. And what makes this discovery even more extraordinary is that these ancient loaves preserved images of Jesus Christ along with incredibly valuable religious symbols, leaving even archaeologists amazed. The story begins at the archaeological site of Toprak, located in what is now modern-day Turkey, where the ancient city of Iranopolis once stood. During archaeological excavations at this location, experts made a completely unexpected discovery when they uncovered 5 loaves of bread dating back approximately 1,300 years. According to analysis results, these 5 loaves were made sometime during the 7th or 8th century AD. What shocked everyone was that after more than a millennium, they still retained an almost intact shape. The secret behind their survival lies in a natural process known as carbonization. According to researchers, at some point in the past, the bread was exposed to high temperatures during a certain event, causing the outer layer to burn and turn into carbon. Surprisingly, this thin layer of carbon unintentionally created a natural protective shield, preventing oxygen from reaching the inside and allowing the loaves to survive for hundreds of generations without completely decomposing. However, the importance of this discovery does not only come from the age of the bread. When archaeologists carefully examined the surfaces, they discovered that most of the loaves had been marked with the Maltese cross, a symbol commonly found in early Christian art. This suggests that these loaves were not simply made for eating, but carried a very special religious meaning. Even more remarkable, one of the 5 loaves still preserved an image of Jesus Christ, along with an ancient Greek inscription that reads, "We give thanks to the Lord Jesus." This detail especially excited researchers because finding an image of Jesus preserved on a loaf of bread more than 1,300 years old is an extremely rare discovery. Not only that, the depiction of Jesus on this bread is also different from the images commonly seen in Christian art. Instead of appearing as a powerful, majestic, or divine figure, Jesus on this loaf is portrayed in a much more familiar and humble way. Researchers refer to this image as Jesus the Sower, or Jesus of the Farmers. This representation reflects the close connection between faith and labor, while also showing the important role of agriculture in the daily lives of the people of Iranopolis at that time. More than 1,300 years ago, this area was once an important agricultural center of the region. Through the remaining marks on the surface of the bread, archaeologists can also partially reconstruct how these loaves were created. After carefully preparing the dough, ancient bakers used molds or special tools to imprint crosses, images of Jesus Christ, and inscriptions onto the surface of the bread before baking them. This reveals that these loaves were not quickly made ordinary products, but were carefully prepared objects carrying sacred meaning for the community. Based on archaeological evidence and historical context, experts believe these were most likely sacramental breads used during Christian Eucharistic ceremonies. These small loaves were not merely food used in religious rituals. They also reflected the deep faith of the people of Iranopolis and their devotion to their beliefs. They became a remarkable testament to the important role Christianity played in the spiritual life of this community more than 13 centuries ago. It can be said that the discovery at Toprak shows us that archaeology is not only about finding magnificent palaces or treasures made of gold and silver. Sometimes, even something as simple as a loaf of bread can preserve an entire story about the culture, beliefs, and daily lives of people from the past. And after lying silently beneath the earth for more than 1,300 years, these 5 loaves are still telling the story of an ancient city where faith and everyday life were once connected in a way that was incredibly simple, yet deeply sacred. The nearly intact, 4,000-year-old boat, revealing the secrets of ancient Mesopotamia in Iraq. The world of archaeology is truly fascinating. Some artifacts remain hidden in the darkness of history, leaving mysteries that can never be fully answered. But there are also discoveries that, the moment they appear, are powerful enough to rewrite an entire chapter of ancient history. It was not a golden treasure, nor a magnificent palace. This time, what excited archaeologists around the world was simply a boat made from reeds and palm leaves. At first glance, it may sound ordinary, right? But what makes this discovery extraordinary is that this ancient boat had remained buried beneath layers of sand for approximately 4,000 years, while still preserving its shape almost completely intact. Even more importantly, it was discovered in the very land once known as the cradle of human civilization. Could this boat have carried goods across ancient rivers? Was it used to transport people from one place to another? Or does it hold even greater secrets about the life of one of the most legendary civilizations in human history? Join me as we travel back in time to explore this remarkable discovery that has captured the attention of archaeologists around the world. The story takes place at the ancient settlement of Uruk, located in modern-day Iraq. During an archaeological excavation conducted by the Iraqi Department of Antiquities, archaeologists unexpectedly discovered an ancient boat partially buried beneath the sand. With an estimated age of around 4,000 years, this boat is considered one of the very few ancient organic material vessels to have survived until today. To understand why this discovery is so important, we need to look back at the history of Uruk. According to ancient records, the city was founded by King Enmerkar around 4,500 BC. During its peak, Uruk was not only the largest city in southern Mesopotamia, but was also considered by many scholars to be one of the largest urban centers in the world at that time. It was the heart of a civilization that laid the foundation for many important achievements of humanity, from the development of the first cities to the creation of writing systems and organized social administration. Uruk was located between the two famous rivers, the Tigris and the Euphrates, in the region of Mesopotamia, an area that historians have long called the cradle of civilization. Because of this, every archaeological discovery made here carries extraordinary value, helping scientists better understand how ancient people lived, traded, and built their societies thousands of years ago. During the excavation, experts discovered the boat partially exposed beneath the sand. At first glance, the artifact appeared extremely fragile, as if the slightest touch could cause it to collapse. However, what amazed everyone was that the vessel had survived in remarkable condition after approximately 4 millennia. It was almost a complete boat, which is incredibly rare for artifacts made from organic materials. Through initial research, archaeologists determined that the boat was primarily constructed from reeds and palm leaves, materials that were widely available in ancient Mesopotamia. It was the unusual burial conditions beneath dry sand over a very long period that allowed the boat's components to survive far better than researchers had expected. The artifact measured approximately 23 feet long and about 4.6 feet wide, indicating that it was large enough to transport people or goods along the waterways of that era. For researchers, the importance of this boat does not only come from its 4,000-year-old age. It also serves as direct evidence of the shipbuilding skills, the use of natural materials, and the ability of ancient Mesopotamian people to utilize their river systems. With the Tigris and Euphrates rivers serving as the lifelines of the entire region, boats like this likely played an important role in encouraging trade, connecting cities, and helping Mesopotamian civilization flourish. Recognizing the artifact's exceptional value, Iraqi authorities quickly carried out preservation measures according to the Iraqi antiquities law. After excavation, the boat was transferred to the Iraq Museum in Baghdad, the nation's capital, where it continued to undergo scientific research, conservation, and restoration to ensure that this remarkable artifact could be preserved for future generations. It can be said that every discovery at Uruk is like another missing piece, slowly completing the picture of humanity's first civilizations. And this 4,000-year-old boat is no exception. It is not merely an ancient means of transportation. It is a silent witness to a remarkable era when humans began building the first cities, expanding trade networks, and laying the foundations for the civilizations that would follow. So, if you ever have the opportunity to visit Baghdad, Iraq, be sure to stop by the museum and see this incredible 4,000-year-old boat with your own eyes. 6th century young warrior's grave, buried with 2 dogs and grave goods, reveals his extraordinary identity. Have you ever noticed that sometimes a single ancient grave can tell an entire story that history never recorded? There are people who lived more than 1,000 years before us, yet their names never appeared in any historical record. However, the objects buried alongside them have become messages sent from the past to future generations. And this time, what shocked archaeologists was not gold, silver, or a rare treasure, but an incredibly unusual discovery. A young warrior buried with a spear, a horse bridle, and most remarkably, 2 dogs lying beside him. So why were these animals buried with their owner? Were they simply sacrifices, or had they been loyal companions who followed the warrior even into the afterlife? To find the answer, we need to return to the location where this extraordinary discovery was made. The discovery took place during an archaeological excavation near the town of Pasilovki, located in the Brno country district of the South Moravian region, Czech Republic. While studying this area, experts from the Czech Academy of Sciences unexpectedly uncovered an ancient grave. Inside the burial site were the nearly intact remains of a young warrior, dated to approximately the 6th century AD, around 1,500 years ago. The fact that the skeleton itself was still well preserved was already extremely valuable for researchers. However, what truly amazed everyone was what had been buried alongside this young man. Experts revealed that right beside the remains was a spear, a familiar symbol of warrior status during that era. But this was not the most extraordinary detail. Archaeologists also discovered the remains of 2 dogs buried together with the deceased. In addition, the grave contained a horse bridle, suggesting that this man was likely a mounted warrior or had a close connection to cavalry. You see, around 1,500 years ago, burying animals with the dead was not something practiced for everyone. The simple fact that 2 dogs were buried alongside their owner was enough to raise many questions among archaeologists. Were these loyal animals that had accompanied the warrior during battles, or, according to ancient beliefs, were they meant to continue accompanying and protecting their master in the world beyond? At this point, there is still no definite answer, but these unanswered questions are exactly what make this grave even more fascinating. Importantly, the research team didn't stop at documenting the artifacts. They also carried out a series of advanced scientific analyses to uncover the true identity and background of this young warrior. These methods included ancient DNA analysis to investigate his genetic origins, strontium isotope analysis to determine where he grew up and lived, as well as carbon and nitrogen isotope analysis to reconstruct his diet throughout his lifetime. These advanced techniques may help scientists answer several important questions. Was this warrior a native inhabitant of the South Moravian region, or did he come from somewhere else? Which tribe did he serve? And what was the true cause of his death? Each new research result could provide important pieces of information about life in Europe during the 6th century, a period marked by major historical changes following the collapse of the Western Roman Empire. Graves like this do more than reveal burial customs. They also reflect social status, military traditions, and spiritual beliefs of people who lived in the distant past. It can be said that the discovery near Pasilovki has opened another window into the world of warriors who lived around 1,500 years ago. Although time has erased the name of this young man, his spear, horse bridle, and especially the 2 loyal dogs continue to silently tell the story of someone who once lived, fought, and was honored with a truly unique burial ceremony. Perhaps when the DNA and isotope analysis results are completed, we will uncover even more surprising secrets about the true identity of this young warrior and the world he once lived in. So until then, let us wait and see what mysteries the future discoveries will reveal. The 3,000-year-old limestone sarcophagus of an Egyptian high priest contained strange artifacts that amazed experts. My friend, imagine discovering an ancient Egyptian sarcophagus that had remained unopened for thousands of years, suddenly appearing before the eyes of archaeologists. What do you think would be inside? Many people would probably imagine gold, precious treasures, a mummy, or perhaps mysterious curses like those often shown in movies. But what you may not know is that reality can sometimes be far more fascinating than imagination. Because during a recent excavation in Egypt, when the heavy lid of a limestone sarcophagus was carefully opened, experts discovered a series of unusual artifacts hidden inside, each with different shapes and meanings. From protective amulets and small statues to an extremely rare golden artifact, Every discovery revealed the incredibly complex spiritual world of ancient Egyptians approximately 3,000 years ago. The discovery took place at the archaeological site of Al-Gharafa, located in Tuna el-Gebel, Minya Governorate, Egypt. During excavations in this area, experts from Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities unexpectedly uncovered a remarkably special ancient burial site. Based on inscriptions and archaeological evidence, researchers identified the tomb as belonging to Jehudi Imhotep, a high priest who served the god Jehudi, the deity associated with wisdom, knowledge, and writing in ancient Egyptian beliefs. The tomb was constructed during the 26th dynasty, dating back approximately 3,000 years, a period when Egyptian burial rituals had developed into highly sophisticated ceremonies filled with symbolism. The first thing that impressed researchers was the priest's limestone sarcophagus. After thousands of years buried underground, the surface of the sarcophagus still preserved vividly painted reliefs. These carvings depicted the four sons of the god Horus, divine figures believed to protect the internal organs of the deceased and guide them during their journey into the afterlife. The remarkable preservation of these images alone was enough for archaeologists to consider this discovery extremely valuable. However, the true surprises only began when experts explored the inside of the burial chamber. Beside the priest were numerous Ushabti figurines in various shapes and forms. According to ancient Egyptian beliefs, these small statues would become servants who would work for their owner after entering the afterlife. This reveals that Egyptians believed life continued after death, and the deceased would still require assistance just as they had during their earthly existence. But the discoveries did not end there. The excavation team also uncovered a large collection of protective amulets and scarab figurines with an incredible variety of designs and shapes. According to Mustafa Waziri, Secretary General of Egypt's Supreme Council of Antiquities and the leader of the excavation team, many of the amulets were crafted in the shape of hearts, while others featured the heads of the goddess Hathor, the four sons of Horus, or winged amulets symbolizing protection and rebirth. Among the artifacts, scarabs appeared in many different sizes and styles. These objects held a particularly important role in ancient Egyptian culture, representing resurrection, renewal, and the eternal cycle of life. However, the artifact that surprised archaeologists the most was a winged cobra crafted from pure gold. This object was extremely rare, not only because of its precious material, but also because of its powerful symbolic meaning in Egyptian beliefs. In ancient Egypt, the cobra was often associated with royal authority, divine protection, and supernatural power. It is clear that every artifact placed inside this tomb was not chosen randomly. Each object reflected the deep faith of ancient Egyptians in the afterlife, while also demonstrating the extremely high status of the high priest Jehudi Imhotep within his society. These amulets, Ushabti statues, and sacred symbols were believed to protect him during his journey into the eternal world. After approximately 3,000 years resting beneath the earth, the tomb at Al-Gharafa has provided archaeologists with an invaluable collection of information about the beliefs, art, and burial traditions of ancient Egyptian civilization. And perhaps beneath the vast deserts of modern-day Egypt, many more undiscovered tombs are still waiting to be found, continuing to reveal the secrets that time has hidden for thousands of years. As you can see, every ancient grave, every set of human remains, every artifact, and every historical structure is a valuable piece of the puzzle of human history. Even after thousands of years, they continue to tell us stories about the lives, beliefs, and hidden secrets of civilizations that have long disappeared. And who knows, right now, somewhere beneath the earth, there may still be countless extraordinary discoveries waiting for humanity to uncover. So, if you enjoy fascinating journeys into the past like this, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the Ancient History channel, and turn on notifications so you won't miss our upcoming videos. And now, thank you for watching and see you again in the next adventure.